Hello and welcome back to Major League Talk Giants edition. Today is Friday, May 19th, 2023. My name is Henry, and this is episode 15. We're going to be reviewing the series against the Philadelphia Phillies. This was the Giants' 14th series of the year and the first sweep that they got of the year. The Giants faced off with the Phillies in San Francisco, returning home after a tough series against the Diamondbacks. The bullpen was put to work in this series, and with the offense, they were able to pick up the starters and string together 3 straight wins and get the series sweep of the defending national champs. The longest a starter stayed in the game for the Giants this series was only 4 2/3 innings. Duvall got all 3 saves. In game one, all the offense for the Giants was in the second inning, putting up 6 runs, which would be all they would need. Wood got his first start back from the IL, going 4 2/3 innings. The Giants would end up winning the game 6-3. In game two, Cobb was a starter and he had an off night to say the least. The offense managed to get back both runs, credit to him in the bottom of the fourth, and then the bullpen took care of the rest, with the Giants coming out on top 4-3. In the final game, Stripling took the mound, having a good start, but then faltering in the fourth. The offense managed to score 4 times in the first, so Stripling got a good cushion to work with. Once he was pulled, the bullpen came out strong again, and the final offensive stand from the Giants in the bottom of the eighth, with 3 runs scored, sealed the sweep with a 7-4 win. Starters for game one were Brogdon, who was more of an opener, versus Wood. Game two was Wheeler versus Cobb. Game three was Walker, who was pulled with 2 outs in the first inning after allowing 4 runs on 4 hits and 2 walks, versus Stripling. As I said, game one, our starter was Wood, back from a stint on the IL with a hamstring issue. He did well, going 4 2/3 innings, only giving up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, walking 1, and striking out 4. The 2 runs were via a 2-run home run from Bohm in the second. Wood was pulled in the fifth, even though he sat down the first 2 batters, getting a fly out and a ground out. He'd thrown out 72 pitches. Our lineup for the game was Estrada DHing. He went 1 for 5 with a strikeout. Flores was playing first base. He went 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Wade Jr. would eventually come in to take his spot in the lineup and play first base. Conforto was in right. He went 2 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs and a walk. Davis was third, went 1 for 3 with a run, a walk, and a strikeout. Hannigan was in left, 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, a run, and an RBI. Crawford at short, 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and an RBI. Schmidt at second went 2 for 4. Bart was catching. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and a run. Johnson was playing center field, 1 for 4 with a run. Total 10 hits and 34 at bats with 8 strikeouts for the team, only 2 walks and 1 home run. First up out of the pen was Jacob Junis, who pitched a full inning, getting 2 strikeouts, walking 2, and giving up 1 hit and 1 run. He was pulled in the sixth after the following sequence: an infield single, a strikeout, walk, loading the bases, and then a sac fly. Alexander came out to get the last out of the sixth. He also pitched the seventh, getting a 1-2-3 inning via a ground out, line out, and fly out. Taylor Rogers came out for the eighth, recording 2 outs before Duvall was brought out. Rogers got a ground out and a strikeout, then walked a batter and gave up a single. Duvall got a strikeout for the last out of the eighth. In the ninth, he walked the first batter, then got a strikeout, line out, and pop out in foul territory. The offense left 7 on base, went 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position, with Crawford, Hannigan, and Conforto getting 2-out RBIs. Conforto's a 3-run home run. Davis and Schmidt hit doubles, and Estrada hit a triple, with Flores hitting a sac fly, and Duvall had a wild pitch. As for the pitcher report, like I said, Alex Wood started. He only threw out 72 pitches in 4 2/3 innings, 26 sliders, 25 sinkers, 21 changeups. His changeups were averaging 85.3, with the sinkers averaging at 92.1, and the sliders averaging 83 even. Sliders had the most drop, with the changeups and the sinkers tailing away from a righty, with in reference to that center line. Most of his pitches is in regards to the zone. They were kind of located more in like a triangle that encompassed the zone, kind of like a wobbly triangle is the best way to describe the shape. 35 of the pitches were in the strike zone, with 37 pitches out of the strike zone. Batters would swing at 34 and take 38. And honestly, it looks like they took more of the sinkers, and swung more evenly at the changeups and sliders. 22 balls, 30 strikes, 16 called, 14 swinging. 20 of his pitches were hit in some way, 6 for foul tips, 10 for outs, and 4 for base hits. 6 hard hits, 2 each, grounders, line drives, and fly balls. Not a bad first start back for him. Behind the dish, calling the balls and strikes, was Roberto Ortiz. I believe we've seen him once before. His overall accuracy was 96%, overall consistency 93%, overall favor not very much. It was just 0.07 runs in favor for Philly. His impactful missed calls, and honestly, like all the missed calls that they have here on the animated ump zone, it's only like 6 missed calls, so not bad there. The impactful ones, though, top of the 8th, Duvall to Bohm, 2 outs, runners on first and second, a 1-0 count, a ball is called a strike. Top of the 9th, Duvall to Clemens, no outs, runner on first pitch, strike is called a ball. And then bottom of the first, Brogdon to Flores, 1 out, bases empty, 1-0 count, a ball is called a strike. Call ball accuracy, 97%. 3 of 105 called balls were true strikes. And then the called strike accuracy, 94%. 3 of 51 called strikes are true balls. I guess you can kind of say those kind of counteract each other depending on who they were called on and what point of the game. So there was game 1. Good victory there. Game 2, we had Cobb on the mound. In the first inning, it was clear he was having an off night. It took him 17 pitches to get out of the inning after walking 1, giving up a single, and then giving up a double, getting a double play, and then a flyout. Ultimately, he only made it 3 1/3 innings, getting pulled in the 4th after giving up 2 runs on 3 singles and a balk. His final line was 3.1 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts. He'd thrown 86 pitches. As for our lineup, Wade Jr. was at first. He went 2 for 3 with a walk, a run, and an RBI. Estrada was at second, only went 1 for 4 with a strikeout, but he did get the RBI. Davis at third, 0 for 4 for him with 3 strikeouts. Rough night. Conforto was in right. He went 3 for 4 with an RBI. And then Johnson would come in to play center field. Haniger was in left, went 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Yaz, he was in center and then would also play right. He went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts first game back. Schmidt, shortstop, 1 for 4 with a run. Sable DHing, he went 2 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and a run. And then Bart was catching. He went 1 for 3 with a run and an RBI. 10 hits and 34 at-bats for the Giants with 11 strikeouts. Another double-digit strikeout night. 1 walk, 4 runs, 4 RBIs. Taylor Rogers relieved Cobb in the 4th. His second appearance in 2 nights. He'd get the next 2 outs via strikeout and ground out. He came out for the 5th, striking out the first batter before the next pitching change brought out Brebbia. Brebbia would give up a single, then get a flyout and a strikeout. In the 6th, Brebbia had a 1-2-3 inning, strikeout, flyout, strikeout. Tyler Rogers came up for the 7th and 8th, giving up 3 hits and no runs, walking 1, allowing the defense to work behind him to get all 6 outs in the 2 innings. Duvall came out to close and save the game in the 9th. He sat down the first 2 batters, gave up a home run to Schwarber, and then struck out Real Muto to end the game. For the pitcher report, Alex Cobb threw 86 pitches, 41 sinkers, 25 splitters, 19 knuckle curves, and just for shits and giggles, 1 slider. The splitters were averaging 90.2, the knuckle curves averaging 84, and the sinker 94.6. Knuckle curve obviously had the most drop, with the splitter and the sinker kind of splitter a little lower than the sinker, both coming into a right-handed batter. Almost a 6-foot release point. And as for his strike zone, not too much side to side, just a lot up and down. But there is like this weird grouping coming into a right-handed batter on the inside. That's outside the zone. 43 pitches in the strike zone. 43 pitches out of the strike zone. And batter should swing at 31 of his pitches and take 55. Honestly, when you see that distribution of inside and outside, 43 to 43, watching the game live, it kind of felt like there was more out than there were in, but the eye test is always a bit different than the actual statistics. As far as taking and swinging, it's about the same distribution of each pitch. As far as swinging and taking, they did swing at the one slider he threw up there, and it was a foul tip. 34 balls, 23 strikes, 18 called, 5 swinging. 29 of his pitches were hit in some way, 17 for foul tips, 7 hits for outs, and 5 base hits. The base hits, 2 sinkers, 3 splitters. He got 7 hard hits, 2 of them ground balls, 3 of them line drives, and 2 of them fly balls. Behind the dish, calling out balls and strikes, Jeremy Riggs. He's got an overall accuracy of 95% with an overall consistency of 94. Overall favor plus 0.74 runs for San Francisco. Impactful missed calls. Bottom of the third, Wheeler to Haniger. 2 outs, runners on first and second, 0-2 count. A strike is called a ball. Bottom of the first, Wheeler to Estrada. No outs, runner on first, 1-0 count. Strike is called a ball. Top of the second, Cobb to Marsh, 2 outs, runner on third, 2-1 count. Ball is called a strike. So all of these missed calls were in favor of the Giants. Called ball accuracy, 95%. 5 of 101 called balls were true strikes. Called strike accuracy, 94%. 3 of 52 called strikes were true balls. Not terrible. So let's move on to the last game. Game 3, Stripling took the mound. He also had a rough first, taking 19 pitches to end the inning, giving up an infield single while the defense got the outs. After 2 straight 1-2-3 innings in the second and third, he was pulled in the fourth after only recording 1 out, loading the bases and giving up a 2 RBI double. His final line was 3.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. As for our lineup, Wade Jr. was at first. He went 0 for 3 with a strike, 2 walks, and 2 runs. Estrada played second, then moved over to short. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI, a run, and a walk. Conforto cooled down. He went 0 for 5 with a strikeout. He was in right field, and then Johnson would come in a pinch run for him and play center field. Flores was DHing. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, a run, and a walk. Yaz was in center and then right. Another 0 for 4 day for him. This time only 2 strikeouts, but he did get to score a run because he did walk. Schmidt was at third. He went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, 2 RBIs, and a run. Sable was in left. He went 2 for 3 with an RBI, and then Davis would pinch hit for him and go 1 for 1, and then Wisely would pinch run and play second. Crawford was at short. He went 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and an RBI, and then Haniger would come in to pinch hit and then play left field, and he went 1 for 1 with a run. And then Bart was catching. He went 1 for 3. Total 11 hits and 35 at-bats with 8 strikeouts and 5 walks. Now, first pitcher out of the pen, which kind of made me groan, was Manaea. He came out in the fourth, recorded the 2 outs remaining via a sac fly and a strikeout. His 1 earned run was via a solo home run to Stott in the 5th. He pitched 1 2/3 innings total, 1 hit and earned run, the home run, 2 strikeouts. Junis came out for the 6th, striking out all 3 batters. He came back out to start the 7th and then was pulled after giving up a single. Alexander pitched the remainder of the 7th, ensuring the runner didn't score, recording 1 strikeout. In the 8th, Brebbia came out to the mound, gave up a single, then recorded a strikeout, a fielder's choice, and a flyout. Duvall, for the 3rd straight day, came out in the 9th to close and get the save. He gave up a single, got a line out, a flyout, hit a batter, and walked a batter. With the bases loaded, he faced Trey Turner and struck him out in 4 pitches, earning himself the 3rd straight save and the Giants a sweep. Now, pitcher report. Ross Stripling, 50 pitches. So the least amount of pitches between the three starters. 16 sliders, 13 four-seamers, 12 changeups, and 9 knuckle curves. His changeups came in at an average of 84.6, the four-seamers an average of 91, the knuckle curve an average of 75.2, and the slider an average of 86.3. Knuckle curve had a lot of drop. Other than that, not a lot of fantastic movement. The changeups would tail into a righty a little bit. Release point over 6 feet. Strike zone. Some were coming into a righty. Only a couple went away, and then a lot up and down. He threw 25 pitches in the strike zone, 25 out. Batters would swing at 25 of his pitches. Excuse me. And take 25. 25, 25, 25, 25. Look at that. Nice even split there. Anyway, as far as the taking and swinging, they swung more at his changeups and took more of his knuckle curves. Other than that, the four seamers and sliders were about a 50-50 split, it looks. He threw 18 balls, 13 strikes, 7 called, 6 swinging. 19 of his pitches were hit in some way, 7 for foul tips, 8 for outs, and 4 for base hits. The 4 base hits were all changeups. 6 hard hits, 1 ground ball, 4 line drives, and 1 fly ball. And then the ump that we had that day, Wednesday, was Rob Drake. Overall accuracy of 92%, overall consistency of 94%, with an overall favor of plus 0.59 runs for Philly. He has more missed calls than the other two did. Impactful missed calls, top of the 7th, Junis to Bohm, no outs, base is empty, 3-1 count, a ball is called a strike. Bottom of the 6th, Vasquez to Wade Jr., no outs, runner on first, 2-out count, ball is called a strike. Bottom of the 8th, Soto to Conforto, 1 out, bases loaded, 0-0 count, ball is called a strike. So all 3 of his impactful missed calls were balls called strikes. 2 of them went against the Giants. His called ball accuracy was 96%. 5 of 114 called balls were true strikes, and his called strike accuracy was 84%. 9 of 56 called strikes were true balls. This series moves the Giants 20-23, which allows them to, at least for now, jump to 3rd in the NL West. They are 7.5 games back of the Dodgers, who are 28-16, and 4.5 games back of the Diamondbacks, who are 25-19. The Padres are now half a game back of the Giants at 20-24, and the Rockies are now 1.5 games behind the Giants at 19-25. While it's still early to talk about the wild card, it's pretty interesting to look at. The National League has 2 hot teams, the Dodgers and the Braves. No one denies that. After that, the rest of the teams aren't really too far from 500. Milwaukee is the other division leader. They're only 5 games over right now. The current 3 wild card teams are Arizona, who's got a better record than Milwaukee. They're 6 games over. Pittsburgh, who's 3 over. They've cooled down a lot. And Miami, who's now only 1 game over. And by the way, coming for a 3-game stint into the Bay Area. And the other 2 teams ahead of the Giants are the Mets, who are 2 games under, and the Phillies, who have the same record as us now. The Mets are the closest to the wild card teams at 1.5 games back, and the farthest team is only 4.5 games back, and that's the Cardinals at 8 games under 500 with a record of 18-26. So that's just some of the information to keep in mind and an eye on. While it does look kind of abysmal to start the season, and yes, no one likes to be under 500, and no one likes to just settle for a wild card spot unless the Dodgers just tumble off a cliff and we completely turn a corner and start having really massive hot streaks. I don't see us winning the West. So wild card spot is what we're going to have to aim for. Anyway, so now that baseball is a quarter of the way through the season, now is a good time to check in on the team's offseason signings. We already touched on Manaea and Stripling in the last episode, so we're going to move on to the other offseason pitcher signing, Taylor Rogers. To recap, he signed a 3-year, $33 million deal with the Giants. He's getting paid $9 million this year. Looking at his career numbers, it's overall not bad. However, if you look more closely at last year, his numbers got worse after being traded from San Diego to Milwaukee. His ERA, FIP, WHIP, and walks per nine all went up after getting traded. He's a 32-year-old relief pitcher who I think was brought in mainly for late innings, potentially another closer option if the pitching coaches could get him back to what he was for the better part of his career. His career ERA is 3.46, and he has a career baseball reference WAR of 5.8. Currently on this year, he sits at 0.0. Everyone remembers the terrible appearance he had against the Dodgers. 4 straight walks, no outs recorded, 4 earned runs to his name because all 4 of those batters got scratched across home plate. He threw his glove away. Since then, he hasn't given up an earned run in over 12 appearances, totaling just over 9 innings. In that same span, he's only walked 3 batters, with his whip falling from 3.30 to 1.43 and 0.92 over the course of May so far. His ERA has now descended from a whopping 18.9 to 4.73. So while he got off to a terrible start, causing many fans to have some choice takes on him, he has turned it around. Whatever he's doing, whatever changes he's made, it's working now. So let's take a look at the hitters the team brought in. Mitch Haniger, 32 years old, signed a 3-year, $43.5 million contract in the offseason with a player opt-out after the 24 season. He's getting paid $5 million for this season now. He also started the season on the IL. And last season, he only played 57 games when he was with the Mariners, and he slashed for 246, 308, 429. Not stellar, but it's serviceable. He's not going to be a star, but he would have been a set piece. Since coming off the IL, he's had a very slow start at the plate. Currently, he's only slashing 185, 206, 308 with 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 walks, and 21 strikeouts over 65 at-bats. His OPS plus, which has consistently been over 100 since 2017, sits at 39 right now. 39. And Baseball Reference gives him a minus 0.4 WAR. Most of his hits have come off the fastball, 9 of them, with 2 hits coming off the breaking balls and 1 on an off-speed pitch. His exit velo is the highest of his career so far this season, and Baseball's Savant has his expected batting average at 232. So this is clearly abysmal and not what he or the team wanted when the season started. He has been great in the outfield, having 17 games in left field and getting 25 putouts for a fielding percentage of 1,000. So the defense is there. It's the offense that really needs to be going, and he needs to make an adjustment there. Now we're going to move on to Michael Conforto, a 30-year-old outfielder who signed a 2-year, $36 million contract in the offseason with an opt-out after this season. He's making $18 million this year. Over a career, which started in 2015, he has a 15.6 baseball reference WAR, slashing 253, 355, 466. He was out in 22 due to injury. This season so far, he is slashing 214, 327, 412. He's hit 8 home runs and batted in 18. He is in the top 3 percentile rankings, his top 3 percentile rankings on Baseball Savant are his walk rate, which puts him in the 85th percentile, his hard hit percentage, the 81st percentile, and the chase rate, 74th percentile. His bottom 3 are outs above average, 17th percentile, expected batting average, 28th percentile, and strikeout percentage and sprint speed are tied 31st percentile. The bigger problem was really the 39 strikeouts to only 20 walks. He did have a slow start, but over the last 2 series, he's gone 10 for 26 with 3 home runs and 2 strikeouts. Compare that to the 3 series before that, where he went 2 for 27 with 1 home run and 7 strikeouts. We all know baseball can be streaky. It's just the nature of playing 162 games over an entire season. However, it does seem like he's made an adjustment and is coming around. And his defense has been solid as well. 34 games in right field. He's got 48 putouts, 2 assists, and only 1 error. So his fielding percentage is in the mid 90s. Overall, Rogers had a tough start, but he's turned it around. Conforto had a slow start, but seems to be turning it around. Haniger still has things to figure out at the plate. There's still 139 games to play in the season, and the Giants have the Marlins coming to the Bay Area next, and they are an injured, kind of limping team right now. So this should be a great opportunity for them. Let's see what happens over the weekend, and hopefully we get to edge just a little bit closer to being 500. Who knows? Maybe another sweep is in store, but I doubt it. If we go 2 for 3, we do get one game closer to 500. And that's going to be the best way to really save the season. Slow and steady. Chip away, chip away, chip away, and then maintain above. That's all I've got for you today. Once again, I thank you for listening. I truly appreciate it. If you have any comments, pointers, tips, or corrections, just let me know. I truly appreciate any and all feedback that I get. And for all the data, all the references for this episode, and once again, it's generally the same, doesn't really change very much. Baseball Reference, ESPN, Baseball Savant, this time for the contract, spottrack.com. Ump scorecards, and then NBC Sports Bay Area via Alex Pavlovich, and The Athletic via Andrew Bagley and Grant Brisby. So I'll see you after the weekend. Everybody have a good, safe weekend, and let's see what the Giants can do in this rematch with the Marlins. Take it easy.